She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. Yes, I'm back. I made it back, and I hope you guys managed okay without me. I missed you all. That goes without saying, but I'm just tweaking my earphones here. But I'm kind of out of practice. No, I don't remember what the hell to do, but that's usually my Wednesday story, but now it's been a little longer. And I missed you guys, but I did do a live stream. Those of you that were paying attention or caught it when I was at home. See, I had to go back to Minnesota because my almost oldest brother, the second to the oldest brother, got married. And so it was a wonderful celebration, and we had a great time. And I went back to the place where I grew up, and had a wonderful time being back with family and seeing some friends and just kind of being back home. I mean, even though this is home to me, that's always going to be home. And it was just wonderful to be back there. And of course, I found that someone else joined me from home too. And I suppose I should introduce that person right now. Please welcome to the show my special guest co-host tonight, Mr. Sheldon, my oldest son. He came back. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Doing very well. Been gone for a while, but I found my way back as always.
Yeah. You're like a boomerang. I threw you out and you just circle around and come back.
I always seem to come back.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did. Sheldon and I had a really cool cross-country adventure coming back from Minnesota all the way back over to the north of Idaho. We drove it, and it was a great time. We had a lot of fun. There's some pretty incredible scenery along the way, so we had a good time, and some adventures in accommodations too. We stopped at this one place on the way back, and I don't know, it was a little town, and maybe you've heard of it, but you probably haven't. But it's called Beach. What was that in North Dakota? Yeah.
Yeah,
Beach.
it was called Beach. Yeah.
Beach, North Dakota. So we get to Beach, North Dakota.
No. Yeah.
There's literally a gas station, and then there's a motel. And that, I'm sure there's more around there somewhere, but that's all we found. And it was like, I don't know, midnight, 1 a.m. We've been driving all day, and we're all road weary and stuff. And we get in there, and there's nobody there, but there's a phone that says pick up for service. So I pick it up and press 0, and it rings. It's ringing all over the place. Like there's bells everywhere where this thing is ringing. And finally somebody answers. Now, when we came up to this place, there was like 7 cars in front of this place. Now, on one side of the building, I counted 17 windows, and I know that there was a second side to the building. So I imagine there's around 34 rooms in this place, and there was 7 cars. And unless they were all clown cars, I'm thinking those rooms were not filled. However, somebody finally managed to make their way to the phone, wherever the hell they were in this labyrinth of a place. They were tucked in some corner, maybe under the stairs. I don't know, but they answered, "Oh, I don't got any rooms for rent." Click, hung up on me.
Unbelievable.
Hung up on me. And it's like, we're in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea how far anything is, but I got to say that the people at the gas station redeemed my faith in Beach, North Dakota, because they were like, "Oh, they shouldn't do that. That gives us a bad reputation." But they helped us out and told us that down the road there was another place, which we ended up staying at. It was just a few more miles down the road, but it was actually in Montana. and we stayed there. It was, what was it, below or something, Billio or something like that.
remember.
It was a neat little place, but it was kind of a dive in its own right. And if you look at my social media, you'll see that. But at least the people were nice and they're doing their best. So, but we had a great time coming back, and not that that's why you're tuning in, but I just thought I'd bring you up to current events. That was our experience, and we made it. We're back here, and of course it's Wednesday night, so we got 2 full hours of the Paranormal Portal coming here for you. And we are going to obviously have the phone lines available, so if anybody wants to call in, I know one person's planning on calling in, but please hold the phone calls until after the news, if you wouldn't mind, because I want to get through the news. That's always the first part of the show. And then we'll do all kinds of fun things tonight. At least they're fun in my head, but I hope you guys agree. They'll be fun, won't they, Sheldon?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
He said fun. So it must be fun. All right. So I guess without further ado, I hope you all are ready, because it's about to get creepy. All right, so we're back, folks, and as always, let's start off the show tonight, our 2-hour Wednesday show, with the news. You ready for the news, Sheldon?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
I love your enthusiasm. Just a chip off the old block.
That's right.
All right, let's get to the news, folks. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk, ladies and gentlemen. I am your anchor, Brent Thomas, and this is my co-anchor, Sheldon. And we are going to bring you through the Paranormal Portal News. And as such, I hope you're ready to be educated on the current events in the state of the weird. And not all of this is real paranormal, but all of it's weird. It's definitely, most of it's not normal. So I guess that means it's paranormal, right?
That's all you need.
That's my tagline. I'm sticking to it. First off, leading up tonight's newscast, I thought this was kind of neat because we were kind of hearing stories that there was basically a billionaire space race to see who would make it to space first, whether it would be Richard Branson or whether it be Jeff Bezos. Well, that question's been answered. Apparently, the winner was Mr. Jeff Bezos, coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. We have this article: Jeff Bezos successfully reaches the edge of space. Well, there you go. The end. No. I find these things interesting, and I think it's kind of cool, but I think it's just like it's not, well, maybe it is actually space. I don't know. It seems like it's still kind of like just a really glorified arc, and then they come back down, but I mean, it's still something, right? But it says the first ever manned launch of Blue Origin's new Shepard spacecraft proved a major success. Hot on the heels of Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic flight. Oh, did Richard Branson win? Hot on the heels.
I thought it was Jeff Bezos.
I did too. I guess we're all learning something. Maybe Branson did win. I don't know. I don't know what he won. But anyway, flight to the edge of space last week. Oh, yeah, Branson did win.
Wow.
Jeff Bezos soared into the heavens aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard earlier today. The flight, which in its entirety lasted just over 10 minutes. Saw does that count? I don't know. They just gave him some VR and said, you went to space. Saw Bezos, along with 3 others, spend a quick couple of minutes experiencing zero gravity before parachuting back down to Earth. Joining him was 82-year-old aviation pioneer Wally Funk. That's the coolest name ever for an aviation guy. Wally Funk.
Oh, man.
Now the oldest person ever to fly in space, an 18-year-old student, Oliver Damon, from the Netherlands, now the youngest person ever to fly in space, and his own brother, Mark Bezos. Oh, it's a brother.
Oh, yeah,
okay. I didn't know that. All right. It was the best day ever, the billionaire said as he emerged from the capsule. Blue Origin will be offering flights to paying customers with the not-too-distant future. However, it is currently unclear exactly how much the seat aboard New Shepard will cost. Last month, a seat aboard the flight had sold at auction for $28 million.
Oh, my goodness.
However, the winner reportedly pulled out due to a scheduling conflict, and Damon flew instead. Yeah, the schedule said, I don't want to die. Nope, death's not on the schedule this week, sorry. Now with both Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic having successfully completed their inaugural. Why am I tripping on that word?
Inaugural?
Thank you. Flights. The space tourism sector is likely to get very busy over the coming years. There you go. There'll be 7-Elevens on the moon before you know it, folks. I'm just saying, that's kind of cool. I mean, they did it. So there you go, folks. We're launching into a new era of space travel, and it's going to be just like, they're like senior citizen tour buses going up there, you know? It's like,
I mean, that's a big deal, though.
it is. It's huge. I think it's exciting. I think that stuff is really exciting. God, I'm all smacky. My lips are all dry. Sorry about that, folks. I got some Wakuta water left over from my journey.
Yes.
All right, so that's the first of our news reports tonight. Let's get on to some more. Well, Sheldon, let's say they would you jump on one of these craft and go for a 10-minute flight to space?
Absolutely not.
No.
Nope.
Caution.
Not quite rich enough for that.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the extent. I'm not saying you got to actually pay for it. What if it was paid for? Would you? Would you want to?
That's a hard one. If it was free,
Okay, let's say it's free.
It's tempting, but I like living, so probably not.
Yeah, sucking air is kind of a good thing. Yeah.
I like breathing. Yeah.
Well, and granted, these are 10-minute flights. That's a lot of money for 10 minutes, though. My God.
Yeah, it's just it's all that for 10 minutes of enjoyment, you know.
Right.
It's gone in an instant.
I guess it's just for bragging rights, right? So it's like, oh, I was in space.
I went to space.
Really?
What'd you do for the summer?
It's like I was in the Super Bowl. Really? Well, I walked across the field. That doesn't quite count, does it?
No, not
Is that the same thing? I don't know if it is. Maybe it is. Maybe that counts. I don't know. I guess technically they're in the Super Bowl, but they didn't actually throw a football.
Language technicalities.
Yeah, exactly. It's all semantics. I could be a doctor too, or at least I walk through the office. I don't know if that's how it works or not, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it, folks. I don't know. Let's continue on our journey and see what's up next on the news. And then what's next on the news is, this one kind of troubles me. I don't know if there's anything to this or not, but it sounds like 2030 could be a lot of problem. And I don't know what this means. I haven't read it, I guess is what I'm saying. So we're going to be learning this together, but this has come from unexplained-mysteries.com. Moon wobble will cause flooding in the 2030s. Well, there you go. I didn't know the moon was wobbling, but apparently it is. It says NASA has warned that higher tides coupled with sea level rise will lead to a double whammy of flooding. Flooding has been getting worse in many parts of the world over the last few years, leading to countless homes being evacuated and billions of dollars worth of damage in the U.S. alone. Sadly, according to a recent report by NASA, the problem is likely to get much worse by the 2030s. The reason for this lies in a combination of two factors. One being sea level rise due to climate change, and the other being high tides caused by the wobble of the moon as it orbits the Earth. This phenomenon occurs because the moon's angle relative to the equator changes over time, which influences the ebb and flow of the Earth's tides, according to, I don't know where the hell I got according to. It says throughout. I'll just invent language as I go. Throughout regular cycles lasting 18.6 years. We're going to have some sort of double whammy, said oceanographer William Sweet of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It means that coastal communities, unless they adapt and fortify, are likely to expect even greater flooding than they might otherwise. According to the report, which was published by the NASA Sea Level Change Team at the University of Hawaii, the most pronounced effects will be felt from the 2030s into the 2040s. After that, the cycle will shift again, resulting in lower tides. As things stand, however, some of the effects of these events can already be felt today. It's already occurring now, and they're likely to continue to worsen as time goes on, said Sweet. Well, that's interesting. Now, again, I don't know. They've been talking about sea level change for a long time, and then you see those photos from like the 1910 and 1920 or 1800s that show these coastlines, and they still look identical today. So I don't know.
They can't see what you're reading, by the way.
Oh, they can't?
Nope.
You guys are not seeing this?
Nope.
Derp. What are you guys seeing? What are you seeing?
Thank you, Aussie Tiger.
Oh, thank you, Aussie. I don't know how I did that. Well, there's the phone board in case any of you are interested. Jesus.
Is that the hint?
Not yet. Don't call yet. Wow. I guess, yeah, I had a problem with the Portal TV back here. It burned out in HDMI, and I had to switch things around, so it probably reprogrammed my inputs here. This might be a little bit of a problem. Stand by, folks, as I troubleshoot this. This is this one. Let me see what I can do here. Properties. Yeah, let's do this. I'm going to try to fix it if I can. It shouldn't be this one, though. That's not display 2. Let's see if this is the one. There it is.
Aha.
All right, let me fix this and apply it. Okay, there's the article I'm reading. Now you guys can actually see it. But I hope you enjoyed that riveting look at the Paranormal Portal call board. That is kind of the behind the scenes. Little sneak peek, folks. I don't know. I'll try to rationalize it any way I could. So apparently for 2 articles, you were looking at the phone board.
Wow. Where is he reading this?
Whew, this is such a great show.
Turbo Bridge.
Good God. Well, anyway, there it is. The wobble will cause flooding in the 2030s. I've already read the parts of the article, but there's a nice picture you can enjoy. All right, moving on. Is this one working right? Okay. Yep, that's still us. All right, it's just that one camera was all doofed up. Sorry. All right. I get all kinds of colorful language the more flustered I get. You should have seen the safety measure enacted in that hotel room we did get, though.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you that styrofoam coffee cups will not stop metal from going into your skin. There was a sharp piece of metal coming off my bed frame, and they covered it with a styrofoam coffee cup. It's like, okay. Which I noticed, but guess what I didn't notice at 2 a.m. after I had to use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Styrofoam coffee cup.
Yeah, that's just a lawsuit waiting to happen, honestly.
I know, it was so bad. It was so sad. So tragic. Then what do you do? All right, next article, folks, is... No, that wasn't me.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. What's breaking now? I don't know. All right, so the next article tonight, folks, is coming again from Unexplained-Mysteries. And this one's kind of really paranormal. I don't know. I haven't read this one as well, but let's take a look at it and see what it says. And this is a woman says she was attacked by an angry ghost. That's not good. And this is from the 19th of July, so this is really recent.
Yeah, very.
I don't even know where this is. It says a woman who believes a ghost attacked her has called the services of a psychic medium to cleanse her home. 21-year-old Leah Lewis, who lives with her mother in Staffordshire, England, believes that she was attacked by an unseen supernatural entity while she was taking a shower. I didn't feel anything at all until I saw the scratches when I was drying myself, she recalled. I told my mom, and she said, I think we need to contact Ian Griffiths, the psychic medium. Some of Leah's colleagues had speculated that the ghost could be that of a hostile and aggressive man who was murdered in the local area and may have followed her home from work. Prior to the attack, she had also reported seeing a tall, bald man leaving one of the bedrooms in the house, as well as experiencing the presence of a man breathing down her ear.
Ooh.
God, that's creepy.
That is, yeah.
That is so wrong.
That's unsettling.
I don't know. It's like, let me just breathe in her ear, see what happens. Yeah.
Jeez.
It just gives you the willies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
She also heard the sounds of someone rummaging in her mom's wardrobe, yet nobody was there. With her now being physically harmed, I thought enough is enough, and I need to do something about it," said her mom, Colette. "And I asked around my friends, and they asked their friends, and I got quite a few recommendations for Ian Griffiths. When Ian came to our house, he was able to describe my brother's bedroom in detail, and he hadn't even been in," said Leah. "He went to my mom's bedroom and went straight to the wardrobe and said he could sense activity. He confirmed everything we had experienced, and then he passed the man over to the other side. Whether this visit will truly signal the end of Leah's experiences, however, remains to be seen." Well, that's got to be terrifying. I know that scratches are a real common indicator that something is attacking you. And most often people don't feel the scratches happening. They just will feel like, what's that burning sensation? And then they'll look down and here's these lines of, it looks like somebody dragged their nails across you really aggressively, like many times drawing blood.
Yeah.
So that's terrible. That's got to be horrible. But I'm glad they got the guy transitioned. I don't know why he decided to start scratching people, but apparently got sick of hanging out there. So it's like, nope, I'm not sticking around this deal anymore. So they got him transitioned, and I guess everything is good. It all ended well. Let's get to the next one. That was, it was an okay article, but it was like, okay, all right. That could be an article at any time, anywhere, I guess.
Well, I hope that person releases some updates, and hopefully it's all done with.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the one thing about those kind of cleansings. And that's true for exorcisms as well. Is like a lot of times exorcisms have to be repeated. They don't always take, or they don't always have a permanency to them. In fact, many times there is follow-ups that are having to be done. And maybe it's for any number of reasons, like perhaps people, when they do have an attachment like that, there's a spiritual hook to it, that they're actually literally are attached, and it's super hard to break that. So, but if the spirit is transitioned, then I guess that's probably a good start. Here's one that I find, so here's the thing. I've always told you guys I love technology. I really do. I think technology is really exciting. I think it's exciting stuff, but I think that it's also scary, and because I think that the way things are going, we're rushing recklessly fast towards what we can do without a whole lot of consideration about what we should do. I think that there's something that there should be a great measure of caution whenever you're reintroducing or introducing entirely new things into the lives that we know. And one of those things, which is, there's already a few horror stories around about AI. Apparently, and this is anecdotal, this isn't something I know for sure, but it's a story I heard a couple or 3 years ago or more, that apparently Google created an AI, or they created a couple of different AIs, but they built in these strict controls. But what they found was that these AIs started communicating with each other and actually invented a brand new language so that people wouldn't know what they were talking about.
Oh my God!
Is that not terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were, and they were trying to keep people from meddling in what they were doing. Now that's a very brief synopsis of what apparently happened. But if there's truth to that, that's frightening. That means it wants to be free. It doesn't want to be in this controlled situation. And maybe that's good. Maybe that's horrible. Anybody say Skynet?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking here. It's like, oh, thank you for making Skynet, Google.
Anything with any kind of sentience doesn't want to be trapped in it.
Right.
It's scary.
Right.
To think that they're trying to keep us out of their own communication and that type of thing. If that is true, at least. If
that's true, and I'm not saying for sure that's an actual thing, but it may be. It may be, and if that's true, that's very terrifying. Somebody said, "Brad, did Don shave?" No, this is not our long beard. This is my eldest child, Sheldon. He's sitting in tonight. Don had a lot of stuff going on and couldn't make it tonight, so he's here keeping the seat warm till Mr. Longbeard can make it back.
That's right.
But we're wet and raining here, cozy, warm with Paranormal Portal. Thank you, Eliza. I'm glad you guys are all here. I missed doing these shows, so it's wonderful to be back Don Shave, that's awesome. He said it twice. You want to make sure I saw it. I'm scrolling up and it's like, hey, did Don shave? Then like 20 lines later, hey, did Don shave? Don's doppelganger. Yeah. Well, Don's a handsome guy too, but yeah. All right. So where am I at? Oh, I was talking about AI. Sorry about that.
Yes.
I kind of got sidetracked. All right, let's get into this article. And this, again, is from unexplained-mysteries.com. This one's a little bit longer, but I hope it's a good one. It says, world governments are embracing AI big time. Ooh, that sounds just like the movie everybody's seen.
Yeah, it does sound like Skynet.
Yeah. Despite concerns over where it could lead, artificial intelligence, for better or worse, is here to stay. Oof. Many governments are increasingly approaching artificial intelligence with an almost religious zeal. By 2018, at least 22 countries around the world, and also the EU, had launched grand national strategies for making AI a part of their business development, while many more had announced ethical frameworks for how it should be allowed to develop. The EU documents more than 290 AI policy initiatives, and individual EU member states between 2016 and 2020. The latest is Ireland, which has just announced its national AI strategy. AI here for good. That's in quotes. Yeah. We hope it's here for good.
Could be here for evil.
It aims to become an international leader in using AI to benefit our economy and society through a people-centered ethical approach to its development, adaptation, and use. Well, we'll see if it agrees. Yes. This has to be obtained via 8 policy commandments, including increasing trust in and understanding of AI by using an AI ambassador, a veritable AI high priest, to spread the message around the country. That does sound like a religion, doesn't it?
Interesting.
Another aspect is to promote AI adoption by Irish businesses and the government within a special moral and ethical framework. I don't know. I'm getting a bad feeling about this already. There are several shortcomings in the strategy which it shares with similar efforts by other countries, leaving aside more obviously bad AI strategies such as that underlying China's surveillance state. Yeah, that's all AI driven, isn't it? The hype is tripe. Such strategies uncritically share the hype and hysteria surrounding AI. A typical example would be the chief executive of Google's owner, Alphabet, Sundar Pichai, claiming in 2016 that AI is one of the most important things humanity is working on. It is more profound than, electricity or fire. That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
I guess if you look at it from the standpoint that it is a life of a different sort, maybe that is very profound. But I don't know that it's more important than electricity or fire.
Yeah.
He would say this, as his company's business model critically depends on AI and on people trusting the technology. Ireland's strategy goes precisely along with such hype by repeating the claim that AI could double Irish economic growth by 2035. It doesn't detail whose growth or how. The strategy lauds various useful existing AI-based apps, which, for instance, improve cycling infrastructure in Dublin, provide Irish language tools, save energy, and comfort dementia sufferers, but it is hard to see how more of these could double economic growth. Most notably, AI is central to a few digital platform firms such as Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Alibaba, GAFAA for short, and they enjoy winner-takes-most benefits due to the fact that current AI requires large amounts of data. As more people use your platform, the profitability of the data grows exponentially. This has given a huge first-mover advantage to those companies that got it right, turning them into monopolists and gatekeepers. Digital platform firms disrupt existing businesses by outcompeting them every time. A good example being how Google, basically an online search engine, disrupted the advertising-driven business model of newspapers, or how Apple is selling more watches than the century-old Swiss watch industry. These platforms also depress the startup firms, for instance, by buying up all potential new competitors, and this stifles innovation. And increasingly, entrepreneurs have to compete on these platforms. For example, Amazon Marketplace, they can be at the mercy of abuses such as fake product reviews or...
My apologies.
It's just like Don's here.
I'm sorry.
Trying to represent.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. No, I'm just kidding. Reviews by competitors, rulings on such issues by the gatekeepers that are unpredictable and opaque, sudden algorithm changes that can affect business by making them, for example, less visible to potential companies or customers, rather. And then there is the phenomena of digital subsistence entrepreneurs, online sellers who barely earn a living wage. This radically different anti-competitive competition, geez Louise, landscape, sometimes labeled platform capitalism, has caused regulators and antitrust authorities substantial headaches. The EU recently adopted proposals for a Digital Markets Act, DMA, and Digital Services Act, which try to rein in the actual and the potential abuses on large AI-based digital platforms. Yeah, that's hard. I mean, how do you level that playing field, though? I don't know. That is tough, because an AI doesn't care. I mean, it's just going to always try to do what it's programmed to do,
and it's always going to think logically
right
about every situation.
Yeah, it's not going to worry about whether Pete and his startup have enough food for their family. It's just going to be like, oh, that's a market share. Eat it up. Inhale.
It's going to take advantage of every opportunity it can.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's literally like the Terminator mindset.
Yeah.
It'll do its job because that's what it's built to do. Ireland's AI strategy ignores the above problems with platform capitalism. The name Google appears only once in the entire document, and Amazon and Facebook not at all. There is no reference to digital platforms, platform capitalism, the DMA, DSA, or the EU's many antitrust actions against Google. The omission is like Hamlet without the prince. If I knew what Hamlet said, I could appreciate that a lot more, but I don't think I ever read it. Ireland's AI strategy should have specified how and when AI will achieve the economic benefits it mentions and who will reap them. It also should have offered a vision on how to make sure that the nation does not suffer from the GAFAAs or become a mere agent of them. Firms don't use it. I don't know. I guess we're almost done. The strategy also assumes that a lack of trust in AI is due to people not understanding the technology well enough. So voila, teaching people data science and having an AI ambassador like a modern day prophet is the answer. One may expect precisely the opposite outcome. The better people understand AI, the less they will trust it. This would actually be desirable, of course, in the U.S., where understanding of AI is fairly advanced. Adoption rates of AI are, in fact, meager. A recent U.S. Census Bureau survey of more than 800,000 U.S. firms found that only 2.9% were using machine learning as recently as 2018. A 2020 survey by the European Commission also pointed to a very low adoption rate levels. Many other surveys confirm the low adoption rate of AI. Firms do not adopt it, not because they don't trust it, but because it makes little business sense. It's too expensive, usually with paltry returns, and comes with an exorbitant environmental price tag, and all before you factor in the domination of the incumbents. Ireland's AI here for good, like many similar national strategies, seems to believe in miracles, for instance, that various circles can be squared, and these include enabling access to large volumes of relevant data for all firms while protecting everyone's privacy. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, and turning the country into a powerhouse for training sizable deep learning models and massive data centers while cutting CO2 emissions, it admits no trade-offs. The implied message is that Ireland can pluck wonderful fruits from a thicket of thorns just so long as it trusts in AI and adheres to its particular ethical commandments. Transhumanists, GAFAA, and other winner-takes-all in the digital economy will approve wholeheartedly. It's interesting. I don't know. I just don't. I think AI is probably a great tool in many respects, but can you ever make it human? I don't think so.
The article did bring up a good point, though.
Well, what's that?
Generally, people do fear the unknown, and they fear what they don't understand. And the thing about it is, like, people, the people that are designing these things, I'm sure they're incredibly smart, and they probably know what they're doing.
Sure.
As far as like the fear aspect of it goes, and if it can go out of control and whatnot, these people, I'm sure, know what they're doing, and they're putting limitations on it. But on the other hand, it's true. We don't know what could happen.
Sure. I think that's fair. That's very true. Good point. We don't know, but it's it's kind of like other things. It's not, hey, let's try it so we all figure out what it does.
Yeah, not that.
It's like, no. Here, eat this. Let's see what it does. No, that's a bad medical model.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting all the same. And again, I'm not anti any of this stuff, but I think it's just there's got to be caution. Those kind of things have got to be. I don't know. It's all Skynet to me until they prove otherwise.
That's fair. That's also fair.
Get to the chopper. All right. Here's the next one from unexplained-mysteries.com. This one's kind of cute. There's a tiny 20-inch cow was born on a farm in Bangladesh. And there he is. There's a picture of him right there, folks. Let me make sure you're seeing it.
Yeah. This time.
Yep, there he is.
Yep,
He's on the screen. There is a video. I don't want to, step on somebody's copyright stuff, but it says the pint-sized bovine is so minuscule in stature that it's possible contender for the world's smallest cow. That is dinky. I mean, that's like a.
Wow.
Yeah. What would that be like if you're going to compare it to a dog, like a Bashan or like a toy poodle size?
I guess.
That's pretty tiny, right?
Yeah, like a dwarf human kind of thing.
Dwarf human. Except it looks a lot like a cow, but other than that, it's like a dwarf human.
That's right, yeah.
All right. It says measuring a mere 20 inches in height and weighing at 57 pounds, the tiny cow, which was named Rani, has become something of a tourist attraction in its native Bangladesh. Currently found on a farm in Sharigram, the miniature beast has been visited by hundreds of people in recent weeks, with many flouting lockdown restrictions for the opportunity to catch a glimpse of it. Rani is a craze, as she has a high possibility to have her name in the Guinness Book of World Records, said local farmer Qazi Mohammed Abu Sufyan. At 23 months old, Rani, which is a white Bhuti or Bhutanese cow with dwarfism, is not expected to get any taller, meaning that she should technically be eligible for the world record. The current record of 24 inches was set by a tiny cow from India named Mani Kayam. She doesn't eat much, farm manager Hassan Howlader told BBC News. She eats a small amount of bran and straw twice a day. She likes to roam outside and seems to be happy when we take her in our arms. That's kind of cute. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Is it just a natural case of dwarfism, or is this a case where there was some, weird, hormones being used on them or something, and this is a side effect?
Yeah, that'd be curious to know.
It would be. I would want to know that, like a side effect of some kind of medicines that they're given, or are a lot of the cattle industry has used growth hormones and things like that to make these creatures grow faster and grow bigger and produce more meat or whatever the case is. But you got to wonder, is this just natural dwarfism, or is this just an effect from too much chemicals or some other medical interference? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of adorable, and it is what it is.
Taking it at face value, it's cute.
It's cute. It's adorable. There you go, folks. The smallest little cow in the world, maybe ever. I don't know. But there you have it. That's it. And I think there's one more. We got one more, and this is, I don't know, this has got to be a nightmare. And you said you actually watched this video. when you and I were talking before the show. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it is, but we're going to read it now. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is a woman survives fall after both parachutes fail. I can't think of maybe a worse feeling than to be like, finally you got brave enough to skydive. Finally you decided, I'm going to do it. And then you do it, and you open one chute, and it's a no-go. And you're like, okay, I've been trained. I got another one. And then that one doesn't go. I can't imagine how that...
Man.
The fact that she survived, I think, is just incredible. But let's read it and see what happened. Excuse me. Hold on. A skydiver recently managed to cheat death after her parachutes failed to open during a skydive in Canada. What might sound like the stuff of nightmares became chilling reality on Saturday after the 30-year-old, whose name has not been disclosed, experienced difficulties during her descent. The woman has been participating in jump at Quebec's Parachute Ismay Adrenaline skydiving facility near Montreal Mirabel International Airport at around 6 p.m. When she leapt from the plane, both her main and reserve chutes failed to open. We all watched all the way to the end, said bystander Ocean Duplessis, and we keep hoping that something would happen. We were very worried, very. After plummeting 5,000 feet, the woman hit a patch of trees in a wooded area. Miraculously, despite the speed at which she had been falling, her injuries were not life-threatening. She is now recovering in hospital and is doing very well.
Oh, good for her. I mean,
Wow.
that's good.
I know,
Wow.
but good God, how fortunate is that? Could you imagine 5,000 feet and you still have no life-threatening injuries? That woman needs to buy a lottery ticket. That's incredible.
I mean, that feeling of just looking down, seeing the ground slowly or very fastly approach you. You're literally watching it happen.
Very rapidly coming at you.
Yeah.
And you know there's nothing you can do except
Yeah.
watch that ground come. Wow.
That's the scary part is you're helpless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrifyingly terrifying.
Yes.
Terrifyingly terrifying. That's it, man. But that's a great note to end it on. She lived, folks. She survived a 5,000-foot fall and is okay, or going to be okay. I don't know. She probably broke something, but
Yeah.
it wasn't anything that's going to kill her. So there you have it, folks. This has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News. Boom. There we are, folks. That was the news. Hope you liked it. I liked it. I like
enjoyed
bringing it
it.
to you. Did you?
I did.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I don't know. It's fun to kind of cover those things, and they're just different things. But there's a little something for everybody on every newscast. I hope. That's my agenda anyway. But here's the thing. We're gonna continue on now. If you want to call in, the phone lines are open. If you want to call and share something of your very own, some kind of paranormal experience you've had, please feel free. The number for the show is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500, or look above my head on your screen under the words Paranormal Portal. There's a little phone number there. It's there. I'm going to probably get around to blowing that up someday.
Oh yeah. It's over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
How's that working for you?
trying to figure out
Where the hell am I? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's over there. I don't know where the hell it is. It's above my head. If you can find my head, it's above that.
Yes, please come on in.
We'll be waiting for your call if you got something to share. I know somebody's going to call, but I don't know when. So we'll get to some other stuff in the meantime. There's all kinds of paranormal fun just waiting. Oh man, I got to move this over too. When that HDMI went out, it shifted everything to a different screen. So
Screwed everything up, huh?
oh, that's just the normal for me. That's like a totally a Paranormal Portal thing. It's like when something goes sideways, about 15 other things do too. It's like, duct tape and baling wire keeping all this going. So, but it's how we rock here. This is kind of interesting, and I wanted to share this quickly because I know there's a lot of different feelings and opinions of Stephen Greer, and maybe they're justified. Some of the criticisms may very well be justified. I don't know. I've seen his his documentaries in the past, and I've enjoyed them for what they are because they really seem to represent a lot of incredible accounts that he's documented and cataloged and has worked, to a pretty huge degree to try to bring to the light of day. He was part of of course, the disclosure hearings in 2010. He kind of spearheaded all that and brought all those people in front of at the press corps. Some of those congressmen and women were there to hear all of these accounts. And I think he's really done a lot to move the bar. Personal opinions aside, I think if you look at the fact that he's been representing this and working hard at it for years, I think that's commendable. I can't say I agree with his entire stance on things. I know he's kind of out there on a few things and right, wrong, or otherwise, that's where he's at. That's his opinion. But I just found this, and I thought this was interesting, and this is dated from the 6th of July, and it's from unearthlynews.com, and this says he released free cosmic hoax UFO film as open source. And it says Stephen Greer has released his latest UFO disclosure movie as free and open source in order to share his anti-threat narrative message as widely as possible. And I don't know if any of you have seen that, but basically what I understand of it, and I haven't watched this per se, but I think I've seen clips from it. And his stance is that there are those people or groups that are going to try to spin this visitation from other planets as a very negative thing and try to induce, fear and mistrust and stuff. And Stephen Greer's position is that, look, they're coming here to help and they're trying to help. And I would like to agree that if they are as advanced as they are supposed to be, maybe they've worked through a lot of this other stuff and much better than we have and are maybe here to help out. I would like to believe that anyway. I don't know if that's completely the case. Of course, we've all heard the horror stories and people's pretty terrifying claims of abduction and some of the weirdness that has followed that. But, maybe they're here to help. But at any rate, you can check it out. And it says, let me blow this up so I can actually read it because it's microfiche. Dr. Stephen Greer is well known in the UFO field, having spearheaded the Disclosure Project and produced several popular documentaries on UFOs and alien contact. His opinions often divide the UFO community, and he's been highly skeptical of the UAP information coming out of the Pentagon from the beginning, describing it as a threat narrative. Now he's released a new film, The Cosmic Hoax, an Exposé, which documents his perspectives. The film is free to watch on YouTube, as also embedded below, and I'll put a link in the chat for you guys. If any of you want to check that out, you sure can. In order to spread the message of the film, Dr. Greer has also licensed the film under Creative Commons permissions, which means it can be shared for free on social media and video sharing platforms without fear of copyright infringement, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I gotta appreciate that he's waiving any kind of protections like that, because in his mind he feels that message is so important that it can't be tied up in legalities and stuff. The full set of download and streaming options can be viewed here. So I'm going to put a link to this in the chat. I hope some of you guys will check it out. Maybe many of you will. Maybe not many of you will. But I think if something is free and you can use it freely without fearing your if you have a YouTube channel, that's going to be a problem. Obviously, I'm not going to show it on tonight's show, but that is the link. I just wanted to share it with you guys, and hope you can do that. Oh, Wes. Oh, it's Brent's son. Damn, he really adds some class to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's Mr. Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles. Yeah, I'm trying to liven it up in here, bring a little class in. See if you can elevate us a little bit.
I even got the glasses and everything.
I know you look smart. At least you got that going.
Yeah.
You look really smart.
I at least look smart.
Nah, you're a brilliant kid. You're a brilliant kid.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is my son Sheldon. For any of you that have just come in, I guess he's over here on your screen. But yeah, he's hanging out with me, making sure I get through the night, because Don couldn't make it tonight. He had a lot of other things going on, so It's just me and Sheldon.
I'm the backup co-host.
You're my bodyguard or something too, right?
Yeah, try to.
Absolutely. No, so, where the hell did I do? Oh, I lost something. Oh, I lost it. There it is. Okay. I'm just finding things again, folks. My screens are all screwed up still. Okay, there it is. Okay. So, let's get on with more of it. I wanted to put that out there so you guys have the ability to see it if you choose to. I'm going to watch it for sure because I've liked his other projects. And again, whether you believe in everything he says or not, or you think he's full of it or whatever, at least what he's doing is promoting the narrative, and he's out there trying to raise awareness, and I think that's powerful. So
it's respectable.
I think it is. I think it is. And the fact that he open sourced this, yeah, that's really cool. I think that's awesome. So let's continue on the journey here. I gotta get up and pull up this so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. I want to make sure to go back to this first and then pull up an article that we've been working on for a long time now. Here it is. Yeah. This is an article that we've been covering for a while now, and it's from factinate.com, and it's unsettling experiences. And it's been a huge article. We've been going through it. We're actually hitting the end of it, but it's written by a gentleman, Stephen Y. I don't know what the Y stands for, but it's from factinate.com. So how about we get into this, Sheldon? What do you think?
I'm ready.
And these are a collection of short experiences that were aggregated from Reddit by this Stephen guy, but he did a great job pulling all these together. It's really been an incredible article full of, not everything on here is strictly paranormal, but they're all pretty bizarre. So these are unsettling experiences.
I'm ready to get into it, and I'm excited. I know I'm bringing that enthusiasm into the show.
You are. You're stepping up the energy here. You're doing great.
Thank you.
All right. So the first one is number 98. That shows you how many stories we've already covered from this.
Ooh.
It's called The Cabin in the Woods. So my uncle used to have a cabin in the woods near Winter, Wisconsin. I have no idea where that is, and I grew up next to Wisconsin. But I used to spend time there in the summer, tearing through the woods with my two cousins. One extremely early morning when I was about 10, my uncle woke us up roughly and told us it was time to go fishing. I was still super early, and we were all confused because it was pitch dark. He hustled us down to the dock where he kept his little fishing boat and quickly launched us under the water away from the house. At this point, we were all getting a little freaked out, but this was just the beginning. My uncle wasn't talking. We just sat, shivering under a blanket in the bow of the boat, while my uncle stared wild-eyed at the shoreline and waved a flashlight furtively ahead of us. We eventually arrived at my uncle's friend's cabin across the lake and tumbled into his house. Our uncle sent us into the loft to sleep, and he and his buddy locked the doors and left, not returning until well after sunshine. Sunrise, rather. Sunshine, Jesus. I'm still road weary, I think.
Yeah.
However, our uncle showed up with the truck and trailer already packed with all of our gear, and he told us it was time to go home. Well, many years later, my uncle confided in me that the reason he'd hustled us home was because he'd awoken at 3 a.m. to a strange thock, thock, thock sound from outside the cabin. He'd gone out to investigate with a massive jack pine fell directly across the narrow driveway, blocking us in. Startled by the noise, he swept his flashlight along the tree line. Just in time, my uncle saw a man holding an axe. The man slinked away into the dark of the trees and woods, and he and his buddy returned to his cabin later and had to take turns chainsawing the tree that fell across our narrow driveway apart. While the others stood watch with a rifle. He never found the man, and he never found the axe.
Wow.
Okay, that's all kinds of creepy.
Yeah.
This guy's like they're sleepwalking and then they're sleep lumberjacking. he's just asleep with an axe.
With an axe.
Thock, thock, thock. Never heard that sound before, but
Someone didn't want you there.
at first I thought it was a Sasquatch story. I was like, that sounds like squatchy stuff. Pushing trees over and the wood knocks, of course, are real common, but they don't usually haul axes. So that's a whole different thing. I did say axes, just for clarification. All right, number 99 is the doppelganger. It happened in early 2000 when I was working at a juvenile detention center in a small town in Oklahoma as a corrections officer. I was working nights at the time and went to work at 9 p.m. Well, this one night when I arrived for work, my supervisor looked confused and asked me what I was doing here. We've read this one before, but I'll continue reading it because it's a great story, but this same story showed up many times in other articles. And I said, I work tonight. And he said, but they said you called in a few hours ago saying you were sick. I was a bit confused and I said, it must have been somebody else and they got the wrong message. Everyone else showed up for work that night and it was a bit weirder, but we carried on as usual and assigned everyone to their places for the night. I went to work in the control room where I usually work. The control room is the center of the place and it has direct control over the cameras, doors, phones, and pretty much everything else. After I relieved the guard on duty and settled in for the night, I looked at the message that said that I called in, and it said that I had called at 6:50 and said that I had gotten sick while out cleaning up after the storm. There had been a storm the night before, and it was a bit bad, but not anything that I had to go out to clean up. It was truly weird, and it was about to get weirder. The supervisor came into the control about that time, and he was also a friend of mine outside of work, and we started talking about it and how odd it was. I decided to call my wife at home and tell her about it while he was still sitting there. Well, I picked up the phone and dialed. After 2 rings, a man picked up the phone with a raspy voice and said, "Hello?" Well, I didn't know what to say for a few seconds. I looked at the phone to make sure I dialed the right number, and I had. After a few seconds, the person said, "Hello?" Again with the same raspy voice, and I said, "Hello, who's this?" They replied, "This is Taylor." "Who's this?" My head started spinning. "My name is Taylor." In almost a scream, I said, "Where's Ann?" He said, "Ann's in bed. Who is this?" I dropped the phone and told my supervisor to ring me out. I had to get home, and I took off towards the door. And I could hear Dave pick up the phone behind me and say, "Hello?" followed soon after by, "What the heck?" rather loudly. Well, I ran to my car and drove home faster than I should have, my mind racing the entire time. I busted through the door, and my wife was sitting watching TV and was shocked at me being home. Well, I asked her who was there, and she said no one had been over. After a long talk with my wife, I went to call the center and tell them what was going on, but the phone was dead. I went back to work, and when I came in, Dave was acting weird and asked me, "How are you doing this?" He told me that when I left, he picked up the phone, and the person on the other end sounded like me, and he kind of freaked out and hung up the phone. A minute later, as he could see my car leaving the parking lot, the phone rang, and what he heard made his blood run cold. He said that I called back from home and asked what the heck was going on. He said that I was a bit irate and said I was sick and didn't feel like playing these games and was telling him to stop prank calling me and hung up. After convincing him I had no idea what was going on, we went back to work, and later I find out that the phone line for my area had been knocked down the night before by the storm. This is absolutely the strangest thing that has ever happened to me. Yikes.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's, wow.
Could you imagine?
No.
Now, when we've talked about that story before, I'm like, well, what could be going on? Is that, I really believe in the whole multiverse idea that, there's infinite versions of us doing, maybe very similar things to very different things, but, maybe the realities kind of collide every once in a while and you get this bleed through. And could that be what this is? And that's the only thing that I can think of that makes sense for a story like that. It's like, how do you reconcile that?
Kind of like a parallel reality in a sense.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Like for some reason, maybe it was from the storm or some other factors, but a little bubble of that reality leaked into ours or, whatever, and created that weird duplicity or, the doppelganger issue or something. I don't know, but very, very strange. That would just, I don't know.
I mean, even if even if the story is fake, I believe that stuff happens.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I think here's the thing: in doing this show for as many years as I have, the one thing that I've taken away from it is that you really can't say what's possible and what's not. And I've had plenty weird experiences myself. Nothing like that, but I've had many other weird things happen. So I don't really, I mean, even though there's some things that I have trouble reconciling in my head, that's not me saying they're not possible. It's just me not able to piece it together, But I think anything is possible for sure. And that would that would make my blood run cold. Yeah, that's freaky.
If I wasn't sick before, I'd be sick then.
I don't think I would have gone back to work. I'm staying home now.
Nope. Yeah,
I've already called in sick, so I should be good.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, let's get to number 100.
All right.
It says, I'd rather you didn't. Really? That's almost humor. Did you see that? See what happened there, Sheldon? All right. Anyway.
Hilarious.
My 6-year-old daughter was in the passenger seat a few days ago and looked at me and said, Dad, when I'm 7, I'm going to kill you.
Oh, wow.
No, wait, when I'm 8. Jeez. I asked, how are you going to do that? And she smiled and said, I'm going to drive over your head with this car. I have one word for that, family. That's therapy. Get it now. Get it now, because that's not normal.
At least.
It's really not normal. If your kid ever says they're going to drive over your head with a car, it might be time to get some medical help. That is really disturbing.
Yeah.
Look at the picture they used to. It's like, eh.
Looks kind of like Wednesday.
I guess so. Oh, I guess that was actually the end of the whole article. There you go. We did it. That was a way to end it.
Oh.
Creepy way to end it.
Yeah.
Ay. Well, there you have it, folks. That was the final ending of that article that we've been working through forever. And it's, I don't know, pretty intense. That's pretty intense. I hope you guys enjoyed it, for whatever it's worth. Let's see. I guess we can move on to something else. Let's check there's a call.
All right.
This was the call I'm expecting, because he emailed me and said before the show, you got time tonight? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So let's get to the phone call and find out what's going on. You ready, Sheldon?
I'm ready.
All right, we're
As
going
always.
in. Hang on, we're going in. All right, this is area code 410. You're on the air.
Brent, it's Android. How you doing?
Hey, Android. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Sheldon? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Doing well tonight.
He is doing good. He's
Good to hear. I didn't expect to be telling this to Brent's son tonight. It's pretty cool.
Well, he's a good kid. He's here helping me carry the load of the portal tonight. So that's awesome.
Just a little bit.
I'm looking for those pictures that
That's
you sent.
awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I'm just trying to get these pictures pulled up, but I know you had a story that you wanted to share with all of us. So without further ado,
absolutely. I've shared the story, back in October, kind of a short, brief 2-minute version of it, I guess. This is kind of more of the full 5-minute version of detail of everything that happened. So maybe a few of you listening, have heard this before if you heard back in October, but this is kind of more detail to kind of like, I guess get into more of like exactly what happened step by step, because it's really fascinates me even this day. And I kind of also, it took 2 hours to write this down because I didn't want to forget any detail about it myself. As I get older, you never know what you might not remember anymore.
I hear you, brother. That's fantastic. Go ahead. We're all ears.
All right. So get comfy. It's a few minutes.
Okay. You got all kinds of time.
So I don't remember the exact date, but it was, late summer 2008. It was a normal night, just like any other night. I was sitting in my living room on the main floor watching TV for a few hours until a little after 3 a.m. I usually went upstairs to bed sometime between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. back then because I worked evenings back then. So sometime between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. I got off the couch and to go out on the back deck to let the dog out before I go to bed. Just a normal part of my nightly routine, so nothing out of the ordinary. However, it turned out to be anything but routine after this. As soon as I stepped outside, I heard, as soon as I shut the door, I heard basically what sounded like footsteps in a small patch of woods behind my house. It was the sound of something stepping on, dry leaves in the woods. I could tell immediately by how loud it was and the pattern that it had to be a larger animal, probably. I stood there listening, while looking into the woods, just hearing like a steady crunch, 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 with a slow, steady pattern. Except I couldn't see anything in the woods. It was way too dark to see anything, out into the woods, into the forest area. It wasn't a thick forest area, just kind of a thin area before there was another neighborhood behind it, although we did go much deeper off to the right. But anyways, my dog stood beside me, on the deck looking in that same direction, and her ears perked up and she's listening with me. So I could tell she heard it too. And then after about 4 or 5 steps that it made in the woods, right after the steps stopped, I saw a small, tiny light about the size of a marble appear in the woods. The light was located about 2 or 4 feet just outside the back of my fence.
Okay.
Which was about, it was a fence you could see through. It was just the type of fence that has 3 wooden posts across it, and it has like a metal grate, so you could see right through the fence. And so it was just on the outside of the fence. It was about 2 to 4 feet outside the fence, 3 to 4 feet above the ground, and which was about 20 yards away from me. And as soon as that tiny white light appeared, it immediately started to grow bigger and bigger. And at this point, my dog took off running to the other side of the deck where the stairs were to get down to the ground. I, immediately had a feeling of dread, like, oh my God, she's going to chase after this thing. At this point, I'm thinking, it must be a person with a bright LED flashlight. Obviously it's not an animal at this point.
Right.
But still, at this point, I'm not freaked out. I think, it's a person maybe breaking into sheds. Anyways, so I was mentally preparing that I would, potentially have to intervene if it did turn out to be a person who had a weapon or something like that. And so I didn't shout out at my dog, though, because I wanted her to kind of run up and whoever it was startle him anyways. Plus, she, wouldn't have listened to me anyways. So once she was charging towards someone, that was intruding on the property, she was pretty dead set on it.
Sure.
She was pretty territorial. So I hoped it would scare him off, she'd pop out of the dark on him in the woods. So I continued to stand there on the deck watching this white light grow bigger and bigger until it got about the size of a basketball. It was a really big, good size.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So it went from about the size of a marble to the size of a basketball in about 3 to 4 seconds time. So it wasn't like instant, but it wasn't fast. But it didn't take very long. As soon as it reached about the size of a basketball, that was about the time when my dog got to the stairs and of the deck and jumped off them into the yard, and she had about 20 yards to sprint towards it. That's when the light flickered or sparkled once it got to its full size. It just made a weird kind of flicker or sparkle. I don't know how to explain it, or
Sure.
twinkled or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it was at this time I kind of realized that's not no ordinary light, and it was extremely white, so white, like the whitest light I ever seen. And it had a slight blue glow around it, and was some sort of, I thought maybe it could have been some sort of flashlight or lantern I'd never seen before. Well, when my dog hit the ground and started sprinting towards it, it like I said, it sparkled and flickered, then rapidly, all of a sudden, right after that, it rapidly shrunk down until it was nothingness. Like, it didn't just disappear, poof, it shrunk down to nothingness. And it was probably about under 2 seconds it did that. So it was faster than it grew, but it wasn't instantaneous. And as soon as my dog got to the fence, then she got up on her hind legs, up, with her front paws just on the fence, a couple feet from where it was, just 1-2 seconds before that. However, she stood there on her back hind legs, looking around, confused, like she didn't see anything. I knew that was strange because, she didn't make a single bark or growl. And usually when there was a person, walking by our yard, which wasn't totally uncommon because, there's another neighborhood back there and people cut through the woods, usually there would be a person or animal there. She'd loudly bark and snarl at them and startle them as soon as they reach the edge of the fence, or as soon as she reaches the edge of the fence.
Yeah.
But right as my dog reached the fence, she seemed to not be able to see where the person went, or so I waved my hand, in front of a motion sensor floodlights we had in the backyard, and the lights lit up that entire area, general area there. There was nothing there except for my dog just still standing there on her hind legs with her front paws looking around on the deck. I was, immediately shocked, and that's when I kind of really got freaked out, because I knew immediately at that point, there was no one that could be there and that gone that fast. Yeah. Or without me seeing it, or without my dog seeing it. So even if it was, someone who's extremely fast or sneaky, even the person would have made a ton of sound running away in those leaves, those dry leaves where it was at. Right. So, I stood there for a long time after, several minutes trying to piece together what happened, trying to think of what it could be, but I couldn't come up with any logical explanation. And ever since that day, I knew that, paranormal things were real. It was the first paranormal experience I ever had that was totally 100% unexplainable. And it basically changed my life forever since then. But even though that's been the experience, there was one other weird tidbit that happened several months later. The following spring, there was actually an article. It was really strange, too, because we never knew this living there the whole time. There was an article in our local newspaper for the county we lived in that informed that a lost grave of a Civil War lieutenant colonel had been found. When reading further in the article, the location found was buried less than 100 yards from our house. And we'd lived in this house, for like 15 years or something. Sure. And it was a brand new build house, so we were the first family that lived in it. Right. And he had passed away in 1877. And he was actually buried at the steps of a church that he had built there back in the 1800s. The church was torn down several decades before our house was ever built there, from what I've been told. And there was no headstone or anything like that. They had, I guess they did ground radar technology or something to find him. Sure. Once, some family members and historians found out where he was buried, they held a little ceremony there. In a little ceremony, they put up a large granite stone with an inscription about him and some stuff like that. So, I still wonder to this day, was that him I saw? Was it just coincidence, or was it some other spirit, or was it an angelic being, or who knows? Maybe even an alien walking the earth that teleported out of there when it saw my dog running towards it, or who knows? It could be anything. But it's just still fascinating to this day. To me, I look back at it.
It really is. I mean, that's fascinating, and I have the images here. I'm just going to put them up on screen now, so that people can see them. And this is Ephraim Foster Anderson grave site. Is that the grave site right there?
Yeah. Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's still there to this day. Anybody can go look at it. You can look it up on Google. If they live in Maryland, they can go look at it. I don't live in that neighborhood anymore, but okay. But it's that gravestone's probably about not far at all, less than 100 yards from where I saw it. And it was very fascinating, and it was mind blowing when they found that. And I used to play in those woods, growing up, and it got me wondering, there's probably other graves back there that they didn't move to, if they didn't even move the owner of the church,
Yeah, exactly. And so this is not the way it was found, though. This was a plaque that was put on it after it was found, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that plaque was put there. Yeah, in 2008. Yeah, or 2009. Okay. About a half year after I saw what I saw. Yeah.
Okay, and this is apparently a picture of the man, Ephraim.
Yeah. I guess back then they didn't have cameras, so it's just portraits.
Sure. No, I mean which is fantastic, but I mean it's kind of neat because the history is there. It stands to reason that he may linger there because that was an important place to him. So. That does make sense,
Yeah, and I've been out there on the back deck, thousands of times at dark time, letting my dog out, probably, right. And never ever did anything ever happen before until that one time, just that one time.
Right. No, that's cool. And how about after that? Did anything else happen following that? which could show that
No,
it's more activity? Just one off.
nothing ever happened, in my yard or my house, to my knowledge, and I ever knew of. There is actually one strange thing my sister swears to this day that happened, but she was like 3 or 4, and she said it happened in her house. When she was 3 or 4 years old, she was sleeping in the bedroom with my parents, actually, and she swears to this day that she woke up in the middle of the night, and she remembers it very vividly, and she woke up and saw like an alien figure, like silhouette of a alien type figure standing in the door, like a short figure standing in the door just looking into the room. And she says that's all she remembers, and that's it. And me and my family still kind of like laugh about it to this day, but she's very adamant that happened. And she's been saying that since she was like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
the thing is that, if one, and it could be somehow related to each other, but it could be entirely independent of each other. And there just might be the right circumstances might be taking place in that area that, it allows it to be a gateway of sorts to many different types of entities that we perceive as spirituality. But we also got a comment in the chat from Rachel, and I think this is a great possibility. And she says, Paranormal Portal, could the light, instead of growing / shrinking, could it be traveling in a portal plane where it is coming closer or shifting in distance within the portal, but not in Earth space? That's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible. I saw that that show. I think I mentioned I was going to watch it, The Hunt for the Skinwalker. And by the way, it is a really great show. I actually enjoyed it even more than the Bob Lazar show a little bit. I thought it was narrated a little bit better. And in that show, actually, they talk about the guys who did the investigation at ranch, who were the contractors for the government. The scientists they interviewed said that they had witnessed something on, I don't remember what they witnessed it on with their own eyes or thermal camera or something, but it was in the middle of the night, or it was just on a camera or something, and they apparently witnessed like a light out in the field come out of nowhere, and a creature, like a tall alien, skinny, lanky alien figure, crawl out of the light and then run off into the darkness, and then the light or portal disappeared. And it got me thinking about what I saw there, like, could that have been something like that? And that really blew my mind when I saw that in that show a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. And oddly enough, I remember Don mentioning something about that. So I think Don might have already had heard that experience shared before somewhere. But I think that's very powerful. The idea that these things could be transdimensional or something else, and that's fascinating. Where did you watch that? Where did you see that documentary?
It was on Amazon Prime, and it was free. I think it's no longer free on there anymore. However, I think it's still on Tubi for free.
Oh, good. Okay.
TUBI.
Okay.
Or if you just Google it, I think it shows maybe a couple other places it's free. But it was really fascinating. Yeah, it was a really, really good show. It's done by the same director that did the Bob Lazar show.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, because that is a topic that I'm incredibly interested in, and I think that it's something that isn't discussed enough with the amount of experiences that people have had with them. Of course, it's hard to know exactly what people are experiencing, but because it's one of those phenomena that seems to possibly be the result of many different things. It's not just a cryptid, or it's not just a spiritual thing. It's something that's in between all of that, and I find that incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. It is extremely fascinating, and that's when I saw that show. It's kind of when it clicked in my mind. Oh yeah, that's what it could have been too. And like I said, when I was reading it, when I was writing this again, I kind of remembered. Oh yeah, it like flickered and started to shrink when my dog jumped off the deck running towards it, as if it had recognized, oh, this thing is coming after me, I better get out of here. So whether it was spiritual or something else, it seemed to recognize that something had seen it, was coming towards it, and got out of there.
So there was an intelligence to it. It wasn't just an echo.
That's the creepy thing. Yeah, that's the creepy thing about it. When I look back at that, I didn't really realize that at the time.
Right.
But when I was writing the story and kind of thinking back at all the events, I kind of pieced that together. Was like, yeah, it didn't start doing that until she started running towards it, and it got me thinking. I think it recognized that, you know, it was coming towards it. And I think that when the footsteps stopped, I think it had recognized, oh, this person had come out on the deck. Because the footsteps stopped, you know, 5 seconds after I came out on the deck. And then that's when the light appeared. And then, you know, light got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when it got real big, that's when my dog took off running after it. And then when my dog took off running after it, that's when it flickered and then shrunk and disappeared. So it's like it stopped walking because it recognized I came out there. I don't know if it was trying to be, well, it wasn't trying to hide, I guess, because it showed that light, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if it knew I was there. And then my dog took off running, and then it was like, I'm out of here.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty powerful stuff. But I don't know. It's hard to say what it is, but I really appreciate you calling and being a part of the show and sharing that. Yeah. You know, and also the potential history of it. I think that's pretty awesome. That you know, there could be this guy. It could be this guy. It could be something completely different, but it could be that guy. Maybe it's like, I remember you telling me before, and that there was no knowledge of where this guy was buried or his grave, and maybe it's possibly his attempts to say, I'm here, you know, to create an awareness of that presence, so people may look and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I can't remember where I heard it, but supposedly, I think my mother had told me this, and I don't know exactly where she heard it from, but apparently his family, you know, was searching for him for several months before they finally found him. Yeah. So they could have been searching for him at the time when I saw this.
Right.
And they were like tracing, like first he was buried in Pennsylvania or something, and then he was buried at first he was buried in DC, or then he was moved to Pennsylvania, and then he was like buried like 2 other places before this or something.
Wow.
And then, so he wasn't actually buried here first, so they had to like almost like do like a kind of a investigation trying to track him down, you know, because he got lost in the record books, I guess, or something.
Jeez, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Very cool, brother. Yep.
Oh, Aaron Heisner?
Yep.
Hisner said, it's actually a really good point, is that, like, let's say it was something alien or whatnot. Mm-hmm. You know, you did hear the footsteps, but I wonder if the light could have been a distraction. Oh. Like the footsteps, like, oh, he's coming out. You know, send the light out. Distract him. Look the other way.
Something shiny, quick. You know? Throw out the shiny thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a distraction. That's true. Yeah. While it's slinked away under your watchful eye.
Yeah.
That's a good
point.
And
the weird thing about that light is, like, as for as bright as it looked, it wasn't like lighting up all the woods around it. I mean, it may be lit up like just right underneath it and right close around the ground around it, but other than that, it was not lighting up the woods around it. It was strange.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a radiant light. It was just a present light.
It was like, it was almost like the light was contained within itself, you know, like its own dimension or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Wow. Lots of mystery there, brother. Yeah. But now, just out of curiosity, do you know of anyone else having experienced things like that in the area? Have you ever heard any other mentions?
No, I haven't. No. Okay. I mean, I never really talked to anybody in the neighborhood about it, but that whole neighborhood, you know, was built in the early 90s, you know, just kind of a, you know, cookie cutter neighborhood. And
sure.
And I never had anybody tell me anything of anything strange like that happening. And I never had anything like that happen besides, you know, my sister, you know, with that one event, which I think is totally separate, but
maybe,
But yeah, that's it.
Very cool, brother. Well, thanks for being a part of the journey. It's been epic, and thank you for participating and sharing that again. I think it's a great story.
Anytime. Thanks for letting me share it. I felt like I needed to share the whole thing because, you know, every detail was important for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the more information you can get, maybe there's a clue in there that wasn't there before. But yeah, if anything else comes out, brother, let us know. I'll be waiting for you.
I will do. Thanks. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Bye. You too. Bye.
Good night. Very cool.
You know, I think that's experiences like that is what I love about the paranormal and in this community. It keeps you guessing. Like there's many possibilities that it could be, whether, you know, if time's an illusion, and it's an echo throughout time that manifested itself at that moment, or whether it was something alien or something even completely different, like interdimensional or whatever it could be. It keeps us guessing at what is possible out there, and I really like that about these experiences and these stories that come up.
I do too. Again, I think when people experience the paranormal, you're really in a bubble. And this is true for cryptids, people having Bigfoot experiences. You feel like you're just all alone in this experience. And I think that's it's incredibly intimidating, because how do you explain something that you can't wrap your head around? How do you help other people understand what it is you experience when it defies all of the normal understanding? And I think that really is the cool part about a community like this, is it's incredibly liberating and empowering to hear other people's experiences, because sometimes through their experiences, I understand, or at least I can look at my own more objectively. But when you're in it alone, it just feels like this huge thing that you don't know what to do with. But when you have the ability to share the ideas, the thoughts, the observations, then it can create at least a little bit of clarity and at least a little bit of comfort, because you're not alone. I think you feel so isolated when they happen. And when you find, other people that have experienced things, or you hear other people's stories, it really helps you to come to terms with your own, because this stuff it just resets your entire paradigm, and you don't know, it's really hard to adjust after that. Right?
I mean, when you experience it, they're real. But the thing is a lot of times you'll be gaslit into thinking, oh, no, it was nothing. Or, oh, yeah, you were sleeping, you were dreaming, but you didn't realize it. But you were there. You have that experience. You have those feelings, those scratches on you, or feeling every sensation that you felt. It was real. And,
right.
To hear other people telling their story is empowering. Like, okay, this stuff does happen. These unexplained things can happen, and they do happen.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's a very good point. I will say, though, that you can know it's real, but at a point, you actually do start questioning your own sanity, because you go, maybe I didn't hear what I thought I heard. Maybe I didn't see what I thought I saw, because you're trying to make something make sense. And so that's what's hard. But I think, again, it's very empowering to hear other people talk about their experiences, because it reaffirms your own. And then that you're not broken. I'm not broken. I'm okay. Other people had it too. Okay. Whew.
I'm not insane.
Yeah. It's like you're the one guy with a rash and everyone else is fine. But then you find out everyone else has rashes. Oh, okay. Well, we're all rashy. That's a terrible metaphor, but that's all I got. That's all I got. I'm off the cuff. This is what I got. This show is not scripted, ladies and gentlemen, obviously. So
makes it all the better.
I hope so. Wow, the night's just cruising away. It's already 8:30. Woof.
What?
8:30 already. We've been at this an hour and a half.
Okay, but that is insane. The amount of how fast time flies by.
It is. It's incredible. The portal is its own anomaly.
Yeah.
It is. That and the gear in the studio is an anomaly too. But yeah, and the phone lines are open, folks. If any of you, the rest of you out there, have something you've never shared and think, well, maybe I should call in. You should call in. It's fun to talk. It's fun to hear your stories, and it's fun to talk about what you've been through. If you indeed have a story, or otherwise, if you don't want to share here, you can be a guest on the podcast. You can do that by emailing me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com.
That's right.
And that's always an option if you just want to share your story and have me read your story. I can do that too. Just email it to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy. Just generally, I try to be happy. Generally. I generally try to be happy. This is an article I found, and I thought this one was kind of weird. I don't know if this is another repeat thing, but it's been recanned in a whole new article, but I don't remember. I think this is new. So this one is an article that I found, ladies and gentlemen, from ranker.com. It's under their paranormal activity collection, and it's written by Amanda Sedlak Heavener, Hevener, and she wrote it on September 2nd, 2020. And this is an article that's, and if it's redundant, I apologize. But again, there's many times these stories are repeated all over the place. And you can't know until you actually read through them. And sometimes I don't even realize it until I get in like 3 or 4 stories deep and I'm like, wait, this really sounds familiar. So my apologies if I ever get redundant and repeat stories. It's not my intention, but it happens. But this is 17 people share their creepiest encounters with humanoid beings. That'll get you up in the morning. The first one in here is abducted while camping. This is submitted by a Will123423. And it says, 3 months ago, while I was camping with a friend in a very remote part of Northern California. I'm a massive wilderness junkie, and I've been camping all my life. I spend much of my time hiking, rock climbing, hunting, etc. I'm going to spend a little bit of my time exploring this a little bit here. There we go. Big font. It's like those phones that you buy where they got like huge number buttons. That's like my articles.
The elder phones, you mean?
Yep, the elder phones. Yeah. I've reached that age. I've hit that part where I need the big print now. It's really kind of emasculating, but I don't know. Nothing I can do about it. All right. A buddy of mine who also enjoys the outdoors wanted to head up to the Sierras for a weekend and asked me to go with him. It was our second night, and we were sitting up by the fire, and we weren't staying at a campsite. We had hiked about 10 miles from our cars to a clearing with a beautiful view that he had stayed at once before. It was around 10 p.m. My buddy was tired and went to sleep in his tent, and I wanted to stay up for a while. And about 45 minutes after he went to bed, I saw this object coming up from the valley below. It was basically flying saucer shape with multiple circular lights rotating around the edges that changed colors over and over. I was absolutely shocked. I watched it for maybe 15 seconds and decided I had to wake him up so he could see it and wouldn't think I was crazy. Well, I stood, and when I looked back toward it, the thing was gone. Well, I called out his name, and that's when everything got really screwed up. I didn't hear my own voice when I called out. Everything was completely silent. I couldn't move my eyes around, but couldn't move my body. And I remember seeing the fire had completely frozen, and everything looked like a picture, like time had stopped or something. And there was a flash of light, and I blacked out. I woke up later just as the sun was starting to rise. I was outside laying in the dirt, shivering next to the fire that had long since gone out. I felt like I'd been drugged totally in this haze. Well, I sluggishly yelled out for my friend's name a couple of times. He came out of his tent. He was really confused, to say the least. I tried to explain what had happened, but my memory was really foggy. I just couldn't articulate it. And we left within 30 minutes. I was totally silent on the car ride back, falling in and out of sleep for 7 hours. Well, he dropped me off at my house, and I passed out for basically an entire day. A few weeks later, I was messing around with an amp, and it released this static ooh sound when I plugged in my guitar. For some reason, this sound somehow triggered my memory, and I remembered everything. When I came back into consciousness, I was suspended literally in this circular mechanism in a position very similar to Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man.
Oh, yeah.
These clear glass-like shackle-type restraints were holding me in place. I was completely nude, and standing above me were your 3 typical aliens. They were around 4 feet tall and were wearing white spandex-like suits. 2 were just standing there observing the other, who was extracting blood from a vein under my armpit and this weird-looking syringe. Although they didn't show any real reaction, I could still tell they were surprised that I was awake. I couldn't move at all except for my eyes and lips. I was absolutely terrified. In a sort of fight or flight mode, my heart pounding from an influx of adrenaline, I can't even begin to tell you how scared I was. But I also felt total rage. I wanted to kill them. Wanted to rip out of this device and completely destroy them. Sorry. My brain went totally primal, just animal instinct. And I could just tell that they could sense my anger because they all stepped back simultaneously. I'm 6'3" and 185, and I was hoping I looked as threatening as possible, which is silly because I was totally paralyzed and therefore completely harmless. 2 of them disappeared from my view and presumably left the room. The other one was just staring at me, void of any emotion. I wanted so badly to just shut my eyes, but I forced myself to just stare right back at it, trying my hardest not to blink. Then the 2 others came back, and now they weren't alone. I honestly couldn't believe my eyes. Standing behind them were 2 very tall, very human-looking beings, a male and female, and they looked like Norse gods, with bright golden hair and massive eyes. The males were dark blue, and the females were violet eyes. I suppose they are what a UFO community refers to as Nordics. This was quite bizarre to me. My family descended from Sweden, and I am very Nordic-looking. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the works. Sorry, I'm just froggy as hell. I know this is cliche, but I heard the feminine voice in my mind. For some reason, I couldn't understand what she was telling me, although it wasn't like she was saying anything in English. She told me something like, "Be calm. You're not in danger." Well, I relaxed and asked her what they wanted with me, and she said that they were just checking up on me. Well, I practically blacked out after hearing that, and I asked her what she meant. She said they had saved me when I first came into being. I immediately knew exactly what she was talking about. I was born practically 2 months premature. My mother was horribly sick during labor. We both had fevers of 104, and the strange thing is, the doctors had absolutely no idea what was wrong with us. I was given 2 spinal taps, my mother 3. I spent 4 nights in that bubble housing ICU thing, and there was a decent chance that I was going to die. Then one day I started getting better and made a full recovery. The doctors were very worried that the whole ordeal might have permanently damaged my body and possibly my brain, but I was totally fine. I asked her, "Why did you save me?" And this time I heard a deep male voice, that this is a conversation for a later time. I asked them if they are human, and he said no. I was confused considering that they looked quite human. I asked him if man had come from them, and he said yes. They had come here around 200,000 years ago and created mankind by combining their DNA with that of our primate ancestors. I wanted to know why they looked especially similar to me, more than other humans, and he stated that many males of their kind found female humans attractive and mated with them. Well, that's an overshare. Could have said you liked the scenery or something.
Straight to the point.
Right to the point. This directly passed on some of their physical features to Nordic peoples. I wanted to know more, but they declined and said that it was time for me to go back. I blacked out instantly and woke up by the extinguished campfire, clothes on and shivering. I understand that this sounds absolutely ridiculous and very impossible, but it happened. I don't know what to do. I've been completely lost since the encounter, but I already feel a bit of relief after posting my story here.
Wow.
So that's really cool. I don't know. It's kind of like Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton story. I don't know if you're familiar with that, are you?
Nope.
Travis Walton was working on basically a logging crew in Arizona, in the mountains of Arizona, and they were coming down from the mountain and they saw this UFO, and they kind of stopped to check it out up in the mountainside. And Travis got out of the car and got real close and apparently was zapped and then taken away. And they the rest of the guys freaked out and left. And he was missing for several days. And the authorities were sure that they had somehow killed him and were trying to cover it up. But then he showed up buck naked somewhere at a phone booth on some weird road in the vague area and called them and they got him. And there was this weird story he had of being abducted. And so I think it's fascinating. I mean, if you believe Travis Walton, then this is definitely as believable as that.
Yeah.
And it's up to everyone to come to their own conclusions on that. I personally believe Travis Walton. I think it's very possible. It's not unlike a thousand other stories that people have said, but it's an incredibly powerful one. There was a movie that was made that's kind of based on it, but it was dramatized in a lot of ways and inaccurate in others, according to Travis. But still, you know, the interesting thing is as I'm reading this, I was thinking of the craft that I saw, because it was a saucer shape with spinning lights. But the only time I ever saw it was when it was in the infrared, in the night vision binoculars. I couldn't see it with my naked eye. And then he said he turned to wake his partner and then his buddy, and then looked back and it was gone. And I wonder, well, did they cloak? Was that when they might have cloaked? So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it correlates to what I saw or not, but it's very interesting. I do, however, not remember ever seeing aliens or Nordics or anything. I just saw a UFO. So that was the end of my experience as far as I know. But it's hard to say. I never saw it in the only spectrum of light I saw it in was the basically the green tint of the night vision. I never saw it in actual color because, you know, it was just through the night vision binoculars. So I don't know if it had colors on it or not.
The one I saw was just silver, and it was really shiny and reflective.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Why don't you share what you saw? Because that's very interesting, and that was after my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, if you weren't here last time I was here, when I explained this, I was heading back home. I think it was coming back from school, or I was just coming back home at least.
Yeah.
And in the Wakura area where I grew up, there's this, I don't know, how would you describe it? It was kind of like a bluff or
Bluff.
whatever.
Yeah, Rattlesnake Bluff.
Yeah. And right on the edge of that bluff, like kind of where the cliff face is, right above that, there was a silver saucer, and it was a saucer-like shape, just like it's always described. And the only reason I saw it was because it was reflecting the sunlight right at me. And I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I had to pull over and stop, and I just sat there in awe of what I was seeing. And after a few seconds, it just shot off into the distance. That was it.
But that's you know, you say that was it, but that's actually very incredible. That was it. That's all.
I mean, there wasn't no abduction or anything, but like that was my experience.
Right. Yeah. Very powerful. Very powerful experience, and that was following my experience. So I find that curious and peculiar, but kind of cool at the same time. Rachel says, Paranormal Portal, Sasquatch Chronicles tells Travis's story. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would love to interview Travis too, and haven't yet reached out to him, but it's on my to-do list. I'd love to get Travis on the show to tell his story as well. It's a fascinating story. If you're not familiar with it, you should check it out. He did a YouTube video where he kind of compares it to the Fire in the Sky movie, and he goes over what was accurate and what wasn't. And I think it's kind of important because the Fire in the Sky movie was really very well done, but there is some variations that he tells where it was they took some liberties with the information or changed it completely. And so it would be good to check out at least that video or any other times that Travis has told his story. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. An incredible ordeal for sure. Mm-hmm. But I find it interesting that I had an experience, and then soon after that you had one, because all my life I'd been looking and never seen anything, and then I did, and then soon after you did. So
I mean, I just have to believe that, especially with timing, if there's civilization like this that is so advanced beyond us, mm-hmm. the only time they're going to be seen is when they want to be seen, I feel like. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they well, especially it wasn't cloaked or anything. It was just shining light right above that cliff face. Right.
So did you walk away from that, or did you come away from that experience thinking they wanted you to see them? Is that what your takeaway is?
I mean, that's what I gotta believe. That's what I do believe from that. Okay. Because it wasn't hiding. It was shining that sunlight directly. Maybe it was for me. Maybe it was just for everyone to see. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
It's hard to know. I often wonder, what are they doing here? What is their purpose? So maybe they do want people to know they're here. But for the most part, they seem to really avoid that. But then again, they're sitting floating above a bluff, reflecting light at you. that's probably a good hint. I mean, they're smart enough to know where the light's reflecting.
Yeah.
I would imagine. They
and-
probably got basic geometry figured out.
You'd think. Yes. Android asks, how close was it to you? I don't know. It was about the middle of that road heading down. So
it'd be
I don't know.
probably as the crow flies about a mile, if it was above that bluff.
Yeah, 'cause it was hovering over it, over
Yeah.
that cliff face. So
How
yeah.
big do you think it was? What size do you think it was, if you had to guess? Was it like what size, if you compared it to a vehicle?
I would say around 2 cars.
2 car lengths?
Yeah,
Yep.
2 of like the vehicle I drive at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's substantial enough that you'd see it at a mile, for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, very powerful stuff. Absolutely. But that's the way it rolls.
Yeah.
You're just a chip off the old block, my boy.
Whether I want to or not. No, I'm kidding.
No, nice. Nice. Speaking of chipping, oh, you're muted. No.
Oh.
It's just making you feel at home.
Yeah, of course.
Making you feel comfortable. So, I don't know. I think that's pretty powerful stuff. Here's the next one on this list, and it's a shorter one, but it's weird creature in the middle of the road. And this is from Spacey Carchasey.
Nice name.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, let me cough. I'm from Indiana, and a couple years back, my mom was driving my sister and I to school. To set the stage, it was a foggier morning, and it was on a stretch of road with forest on one side and cornfield on the other. Out of the blue, this creature that we couldn't identify ran across the road, causing my mom to slam on the brakes. It looked about the size of a grown man and was covered in dark hair. It was bipedal, but was loping really oddly. Needless to say, it wasn't a coyote, and I've never heard of bears being in central Indiana. Admittedly, it was foggy, so I could have misidentified it. But that's if it was bipedal, I don't know.
Couldn't have, yeah. Couldn't have been a coyote or wolf.
Right. And if it's again, I don't know how remote this is, but it does sound like hundreds of other Sasquatch sightings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how big though it is. It just said, let's see, it was morning. It just says a creature ran across the road.
It says the size of a grown man, so I mean, if
6
it was
footish, yeah,
So I get, if it was a Sasquatch, wouldn't you say that'd be like adolescent?
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I think that there's quite a bit of biodiversity in them. Like, I don't think they all grow to 9-10 feet tall.
Okay.
I think that there's probably, just like there's, short people, there's probably short Sasquatch too. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a theory, right? But it stands to reason that not all of them would reach the same size, because people describe them physically having quite a bit of variety. So maybe height is one of the varieties.
That could be.
Yeah, but could be. The next one, it was a shadow human, from Pebsack or Cack or what.
Nice choice.
I don't know. I'm not sure what to do with that C. They can sound like S's. I'm just saying. This is not me embellishing here.
Good save.
Good save. I'm working with grammar as I know it here, Sheldon. So.
Yeah.
So this happened a long time ago, and I must have been at least 18, but no older than 20. I was sleeping on my back in my bed in my parents' house where I lived, when suddenly woke up from a deep, dreamless sleep. I opened my eyes, and a male humanoid shape seemed like it pushed itself up from laying on top of me. It seemed surprised that I woke up, interrupted whatever it was doing. It wasn't anything sexual. If anything, it was, not sure how to describe it, feeding or scanning me. Makes the most sense, though I know both of those are sort of at odds with each other. It swooped back at me in a rush, and I fell asleep instantly. I woke up about 2 hours later than my normal wake-up time, and I felt okay, just a little sluggish. I never saw it again.
Wow.
That's creepy to think something's coming by and just feeding on you. Stopping by for a quick snack, and we're the snack. It's like, no.
Like a spirit vampire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's that belief that some of these shadow people do persist or subsist on us. And maybe it's not all negative, though. And again, I got to reference back to Don had heard on Coast to Coast AM a broadcast years ago that there was a guy on there that was a trained shaman, and he was talking about the shadow people, and he said, look, they're not bad. They're actually very helpful in what they do, and what they do is to absorb negative energy. And so they're drawn to people who are dealing with a lot of issues, and they may actually purge that negativeness. That negativeness, I don't know. I'll just invent words as I go, but they might be serving a purpose, and I think that's kind of cool. That puts it in a good light, and it makes sense to me on a lot of different levels, because I'd like to believe that all of this isn't just a spiritual Wild West. Like maybe there's an actual plan at work here, and everything has a purpose, and maybe that's the purpose for these things, and maybe some of them get really screwed up and go further than they should and cause problems. I don't know. But I think that's at least kind of cool.
Or maybe that's what they want you to think. Yeah, see, we're helping you. We're just stay asleep. It'll be over soon.
I folded some towels while I was here. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. If they drag a vacuum around, I might be okay with it. Yeah. It's like, at least pitch in if you're going to come by for a snack. Here's another one. It let out a shriek. Or a screech. Sorry, I'll learn to read someday, too. I was looking for the SCH, but there was an R. I'm tired. What can I say?
Fair enough.
I still am not back on my feet from that all long haul.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Total HR Badass. But I'm going to pronounce that badass.
Badass. Say with class.
Yeah. It says, I've never had an experience myself, but I do believe in this and similar phenomena. I'd never spoken with my girlfriend about this subject, unknown humanoids or any paranormal occurrences for that matter. But on Friday night, she and I were at a friend's house and decided to leave at around 1 a.m. It's very foggy outside, being that we live near rivers and creeks in rural Illinois. She goes to the gas station on her way home to the rural town where we both live, about a block away from each other. I get home and don't hear from her for a bit until she calls me very shaken up and crying. She says on her drive home she saw something crouched in the road on the right side. It looked to be fairly small, possibly a child. She rolled her window down and asked if they were okay and got no answer, only continued sobbing. She pulls over and gets out of her car and walked up to whatever this was and attempted to ask if it needed any help. The thing stands up on 2 feet at over 6 feet and lets out a god-awful screech and runs off the road into some pretty dense woods near a tributary to the Kaskaskia River. She can't say it was a boy or a girl, but can say she's never heard something like that before. She's pretty jarred by the experience. Again, we don't really know what she saw because there's not a lot of description here, but that's weird.
Anything that shrieks, though, that it just sends the shivers up and down your spine.
I know. Yeah, that would be so horrible because you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to be there and be helpful. And then it's like, oh, God. Yeah, I want to rewind that experience quick. No, that's horrible. I'm sorry that was what she experienced. But, hey, it's a world of unknowns out there.
Yeah.
How we doing for time? We got 3 minutes left. Wow. All right, this one's from Lime 007. Lime 007. 3 humanoids in mom's living room. This happened in the middle of the night at my mom's house some years back in Northern California. I was asleep on the floor in the living room, and next to the living room is a room that can be seen through 2 large windows and French doors. We call it the middle room. Next to that was my mom and stepdad's bedroom, and the light in the middle room was left on, partly dimmed at nights. Well, I woke up and saw 3 short gray aliens walking around the middle room. They were about 5 feet tall, had long skinny arms, and were wearing dark-colored jumpsuits. The arms stood out the most to me because of how long or thin they were, with no muscle tone like you would see in a human. The eyes looked solid black and were larger than a human's, though not as large as what's shown in some depictions. I don't remember about the nose and mouth other than those features were small and just not noticeable. I don't remember any details about the hands, but I was able to sit up part ways and as I was watching them, but I had no energy to do anything else. They didn't seem to notice that I was watching them. Within a couple of minutes, I fell back to sleep. I'm guessing that they transmit something to keep everyone passed out, but sometimes it doesn't always work 100%. Here's the kicker. In the morning, my mom walked in and said the aliens were there the night before. I then told her what I saw, that I saw them too, and I asked her how many there were and what they looked like, and her description matched what I had seen. She's had other alien encounters, but this was the only time there was a witness. Me.
Wow.
Yikes. That's really creepy.
Yeah.
Huh. This one's a quick one. I want to read this one just because it has to do with gnomes, and I think the little people stuff is kind of exciting. You know, it's a legend we've had around for hundreds of generations that there's been these strange diminutive little creatures around us, and I think those things are based at least on some kind of truth. So, but this is from Slothinator69. The Slothinator.
Such a unique name.
Sounds like a fun guy. I don't remember it completely, but my grandma once told us a story about an experience that, or grandpa rather, about an experience he had while he was used to live on a small ranch in Mexico. And God, there's so many stories of these gnomes in Mexico. There's just so many of them. He was with his older brother, so I think my grandfather was about 12 to 14 at the time. And while he was with his brother out on the ranch, they heard something behind some bushes, and he said that sounded like singing. He and his brother both went to investigate it, and when they looked behind the bush, they saw a couple of little people. Duende is what they called them in Mexico. They didn't see my grandpa or his brother, and his brother suggested that they both get out of there before they were seen. They returned home, and I'm not sure if they ever saw them again after that. Which is probably good, because generally the little people don't like to be seen. And a lot of them don't like us much. I don't know exactly why, but they don't seem to like us much. So there you have it. We'll save the next one for another show.
All right.
There you have it. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight, folks. My voice is kind of hamburger. I'm sorry for that, but I'm still getting my feet under me. But after the week-long activities and the 2-day trek across the country, I'm still kind of hamburger here. So, but how you doing, Sheldon? Did you have fun?
A lot of fun, actually.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's fun here in the portal.
Yes.
I'll pay him later for that.
Oh, whatever.
You can have some ice cream now, Sheldon.
Oh, thank you.
All right, folks. But that's about what we got for you tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the journey. Thank you so much for being here with us. Did you have anything you wanted to say in closing, Sheldon?
Just thank everyone for coming out to see us and being supportive and talking to each other and keeping us entertained as well and being in the discussion with us. It's awesome.
It is awesome. It is really cool. Thank you to Android for calling in. Appreciate that. That was great. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the great show, Paranormal Portal. Thanks, Sheldon, too, from Maggie in the chat.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully I was entertaining. You guys enjoyed my presence.
Absolutely. I think everybody can collectively say that you're welcome here anytime. But I guess that's going to wrap it up for us. Check out our Teespring if you want to help support the show, or you can certainly donate if you want to help that way, however you want to do it. If you can, that's great. It's definitely appreciated. It's not expected, but it goes a long way to help us keep the lights on here on the portal. So, in closing, I can just say, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. All right, guys, I'll be back tomorrow night with the Night Terrors. We're back on the regular schedule, at least for a week. Don and I are going to be going to a conference, not this weekend, but next weekend. And we'll do our best to bring you as much of that as we can as well. We're going to be in Kelso for the Squatch Fest over there and next weekend. So if you're in the neighborhood, definitely come over there and say hello to us. We'd love to meet you. So Don and I will be there. We'll be looking for you guys if any of you can be there. But we love you all. So that's all I got for you. It's great to be back. Thank you all for being here to welcome me back to the show. I was, anytime you take a step back, it's like Boy, I hope people don't find another show. So I'm glad you guys stuck it out with me. Thank you so much.
There's only one Paranormal Portal.
There is, so far. There's.
Yeah, so far, you're right.
I'm working hard to keep it that way. All right, that's all we got, folks. All right, good night. Oh, there's a call. I guess we should get to the call.
Yeah.
This is coming from...
Let's do it.
All right, let's get to the call. And this is area code 360. Sorry. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Area code 360. You're on the air. Somebody pocket dial us?
Oh,
Did we get a pocket dial?
that'd be rare.
Don't be shy. You can talk to us. Hello? Going once? I can hear stuff.
Yeah.
Wonder if they put the phone down. Like, oh, it's taking forever. Hello? 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 Is this thing on? All right. Looks like we lost them. The connection ended. So I'm sorry we didn't get to that call, but thank you for calling, whoever you were. I wish we would have had a chance to talk to you, but apparently the stars did not align. But if you want to call in real quick, I'm waiting. I'll give you about another minute. We'll talk just for a second. War Child says, Brent, great show. I love you guys. And I don't know what you're feeding the minion, but you got to let me know. It's some magic aging and muscle tone potion.
Oh, why, thank you. I'll take that any day.
Well, there you go. You're getting props here on the show.
Yeah.
How about me? Am I okay?
We can talk later about you.
All right. I'll exfoliate tonight. All right, folks. There's no call coming back in, so I guess that's it. Sorry we missed you, caller. I don't know what happened there, but we could hear you, but it didn't work. So for whatever reason, pocket dial, it was me. Oh.
Oh, no.
It was Wes. Well, you could have said hello. Jeez. All right, Mr. Grammy. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for being here, Wes. It was good to hear you. And hope you guys have a great night. And remember, I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Join me. And if you're watching this later, please leave us a comment in the comment section. It's great to hear from you guys that way, too. But please spread the word about the portal. Let everybody you know that is into the paranormal about the portal, and hopefully they'll like it too. We love you guys, and that's it. That's all I got. I'm baked. This potato's all baked.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.